Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Obstagoon. So today, we need to take a look at the very first ever Obstagoon card that we have ever seen in the Pokemon trading card game. And the great news is, ladies and gentlemen, that even though it hasn't been very long, by which I mean it's been out for like a day, we've already confirmed that Obstagoon is a very, very good card. And it is capable of winning tournaments, and it is pretty gosh darned awesome. So Obstagoon then, what does it do? Well, it's a stage 2 Pokemon, and it comes in at 160 HP, which on the one hand is fairly high, but on the other hand is also pretty much what we expect from a stage 2 Pokemon. That's what it was in stage 2s like Empoleon back in the Sun and Moon era. We've got a weakness to grass nowadays, which of course is a change up from pre-Sword and Shield. We now are weak to grass rather than fighting. But honestly, right, if we look at recent formats, fighting is a worse weakness than grass. We want to be weak to grass. Not to mention that with Welded X running around, Fired X are likely to be good for quite a while yet. Reshiram and Charizard has seen a big dip in play this weekend, which is a little bit sad. But it also just went and won the Latin American International Championship, so maybe we hold off on proclamations of its demise for just a moment or two. Retreat cost of 2 is higher than we might like, but we do have Balloon, which will allow you to retreat for free because it reduces your retreat cost by 2, so that's kind of nice. And you are a Darkness Pokemon, which means you're hitting weakness on Psychic Pokemon nowadays, like in DDV. But there are actually some really good Ghost Pokemon that come through as Psychic in the card game. I'm thinking specifically Miss Magius and Giratina, that you are hitting weakness on, so that's kind of nice. Although it is very much worth bearing in mind that, well, I mean, look, if Miss Magius evolves up, it's going to use the ability, so you'll probably never actually hit it for weakness. And you do have Black Market Prism Star to reduce the amount of prizes you give up, so you don't give up a prize. That's kind of cool. Make sure you've got Darkness Energy attached. But what does it do? Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's actually a really nice attack here, but generally speaking, we're focused on the ability. And the ability says, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may put 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Oh. Yeah, that's pretty good. And we know this is pretty good. We've seen this before. We literally saw this exact same ability on the Stage 2 Crobat. Specifically the one that came around in Phantom Forces, whereby when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may put 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. And we saw it on Greninja GX. Literally the exact same ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may put 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Cool. Now, Crobat saw quite a lot of play back in the day. Greninja saw a fair bit less play, though did get repped. The thing to remember about Greninja is it's a GX Pokemon. It gives up 2 prizes, which makes us naturally a little bit suspicious of it. It makes us go, oh, I don't know, it does give up 2 prizes, that's a bit awkward. I'm not sure how I feel about this. But Greninja saw a lot of play. Now, to be fair, Greninja also had free retreat, but make no mistake about it, Galarian Obstagoon is great, because you're just dropping 3 damage counters. Now, when we played Crobat, we also had the Golbat that let you drop 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon when you evolved it up. And when we played Greninja, we also had the Frogadier, which incidentally, these are legal in the format at the moment, that let you drop 2 damage counters when you evolved it up. Cool. Lanoon doesn't. Lanoon doesn't even have an ability, Galarian Lanoon, which is super weird. Speaking of super weird, the name again here is not Obstagoon, it's Galarian Obstagoon. It's weird in that the evolutions in the Galar region in Gen 8, the evolutions of previous Pokemon we've seen, came through with the name Galarian so-and-so. Whereas, of course, if you look at the Sun and Moon era, we had, say, Alolan Raichu, We didn't give new names to new evolutions. They were just Alolan, whatever they were before. Whereas in Sword and Shield, we are saying Galarian Obstagoon, even though Obstagoon is a unique Pokemon name. It's a little bit weird. Point is, you don't have the ability on Lanoon. Now, we do have the ability on Galarian Zigzagoon. And the ability is like the old Crobat G, which is to say, you drop 1 damage counter when you place it on the board. Now, the good news is with Galarian Zigzagoon that there's no waiting. Frogadier, Golbat, you've got to wait a turn. You've got to play down the basic, then you wait a turn, then you can drop some damage counters. Whereas when it comes to Galarian Zigzagoon, you can just play it down and drop the damage immediately. But the bad news is you never drop 2 damage. It's a little bit upsetting, but the fact of the matter is, I mean, against something like a Ditto Prism Star, your opponent just can't put this on the field. Obstagoon, Galarian Zigzagoon, boom. Your opponent goes down in a single hit. And somewhat upsettingly, I told you the other day that the new Poltegeist card, the first one we've ever seen, actually looks really good. And unfortunately, we've also seen that the new Sinistea, yeah, you see, the new Sinistea has 30 HP. Which is not good, ladies and gentlemen. It means that you basically cannot ever bench this against an Obstagoon deck unless there is no chance they can evolve up into Obstagoon next turn. But there are 2 Pokemon that make Galarian Obstagoon way, way better. One of them is Yveltal GX. Now, you don't have a GX attack to be using, you might as well use Yveltal's. And Yveltal's GX attack is Doom Count GX. If your opponent's active Pokemon has exactly 4 damage counters on it, that Pokemon is knocked out. An instant 1-hit KO on anything for a single energy. And the thing is that with Galarian Obstagoon and a single Galarian Zigzagoon, that is 4 damage counters. And we've got free prize Pokemon at the moment. We've got Tag Team GXs like Mewtwo and Mew. We've got something ridiculous like, let's go Snorlax VMAX, 340 HP. Gives up free prizes, goes down in a single hit. And when we got a lot of free prize Pokemon running around, and you can easily get 1-hit KOs, that is going to help massively. The other really good one we've got at the moment is Sableye V. Sableye V for 2 Darkness Energy does 10 damage, plus 60 more for each damage counter on the defending Pokemon. So if you drop 3 damage on a Pokemon, Sableye will hit 190, with the free damage you dropped is 220. That's a lot. That is a lot of damage very, very quickly. And remember that both Yveltal and Sableye are Darkness Pokemon. And this is why we look at something like Galarian Obstagoon and say it's so much better than something like Greninja. Because the Pokemon you're using to evolve up and not attack only gives up 1 prize, and because you've got really good support Pokemon taking big KOs and using the same energy as you're using. Now, to be honest with you, the ability alone makes me excited about this card, but the good news is that we do have a nice little attack here as well. What we have for 1 darkness, 1 colorless energy, blocking. 90 damage during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic Pokemon. Well, hang on a second. At the moment, all the Pokemon V we've seen, like Zacian, who is making waves already, they're all basic Pokemon. And all of those big Tag Team GXs like Mewtwo and Mew, they're all basic Pokemon. As it stands at the moment, we are seeing a very, very basic heavy format. The big hype decks coming out of Sword and Shield at the moment are revolving around Zacian V. And if we look at tournament results at the moment, it's just constantly basic Pokemon. Mewtwo and Mew, Arceus and Dialga and Palkia, Gardevoir and Sylveon. These are the decks at the moment that are doing well. We're seeing the odd Malamar deck creep in, but even those tend to be playing a lot of basic Pokemon like the aforementioned Giratina. We are in an extremely basic heavy format at the moment, and these good Pokemon V that are basic Pokemon coming in Sword and Shield are unlikely to really do a huge amount to change that anytime soon. Now 90 damage isn't very much. I mean, against something like a Mewtwo and Mew, you're free hit KOing. Against something like a Zacian V, you're free hit KOing. But does it really matter? I mean, sure, your opponent can play Custom Catcher to gust Pokemon off your bench, but they're going to run out of them pretty quickly, as in they can only play 2. If you're against these Fire decks, they might be playing Ninetales, but those kind of decks are seeing a big dip in play. A lot of people are playing Great Catcher, but as long as you don't bench any GXs, your opponent can't actually do anything with that. And all of a sudden, you can sit there blocking basic Pokemon against decks that literally might not have an answer. I adore Galarian Obstagoon. When I first looked at it, I wasn't 100% sure how good it was. I wasn't that excited about it. But this morning, I've sat down and taken a really good look. And I think it's phenomenal. Like, actually flat out over the top phenomenal. I have already seen winning deck lists coming out of Japan with this, and it only became legal for tournament play this weekend. I think this is a between 4 and 5 Wassy card. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. Either you can drop damage counters and take advantage of stuff like Evil Talon Sableye to smash, or you can find yourself against basic Pokemon and just lock them out the game. And when you've got an attack that can lock basic Pokemon out the game, and that's your handy bonus just in case you come up against basic Pokemon attacks, oh my goodness, we are looking at a good Pokemon. But I'd like to know how good you think it is. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are awesome. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.